This is the Less Insurance Dependence podcast show with my good friend Gary Takas and myself, Narain Arulraja.
We appreciate your listenership, your time, and most of all, we appreciate your intention to reduce insurance dependence in your practice. Our goal is to provide information that will help you successfully reduce insurance dependence and convert your practice into a thriving and profitable dental practice that provides you with personal, professional, and financial satisfaction.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Less Insurance Dependence podcast, the official podcast of the Reducing Insurance Dependence Academy, www.rid.academy. Membership to the Academy is a gift from Gary and I in appreciation for your listenership. Visit rid.academy and don't forget to register. By registering, you will have access to all of our resources and a free pass to all of our events, including our annual summit. I'm Narain, your co-host. Today's podcast is titled, How to Answer the Question, Do You Take My Insurance? From a potential new patient. Before we jump in, I have a quick announcement. Our live event, Thriving Dentist Live Workshop in Austin, Texas is happening. Austin, Texas is happening on the 1st of Feb, which happens to be a Saturday from 9 to 5 p.m. Eastern. You get 8 hours of CE. And the link is thrivingdentist.com/Austin. We made it very affordable and still we have some early bird pricing. So if you're interested, definitely go check it out and take advantage of that. Gary, any comments?
Yeah, I'm really excited about that live workshop, February 1st, Austin, Texas. If you think about the content of that workshop is all about all the details related to developing a thriving practice and achieving an effective work-life balance. I want you to have it all. So it's about having a world-class practice. Think about drinking from a fire hose, all kinds of details about developing a world-class practice and achieving an effective work-life balance. I'm passionate about that topic because I think if there's something I'm noticing all over is that many dentists do not feel like they have an effective work-life balance. Many dentists feel like I can have one or the other. I can have a great practice or I can have work-life balance, but I can't have them both. And if that's the way you're kind of leaning and maybe thinking that way, or that's your experience, come to this workshop because I will show you can have them both. And the sooner you can get an effective work-life balance, in my opinion, the better. You deserve to have that throughout your career, and they are not mutually exclusive. So come join us. As Naren mentioned, go to thrivingdentist.com/Austin. 8 hours on a Saturday, February 1st, 9 to 5. I'll be your speaker. You'll meet colleagues from all over the country that are like-minded, and always good to be around like-minded people that feel like you've got some support. And you'll leave with lots of details you can apply upon your return. Come join us.
Thank you, Gary. Let's jump into today's podcast. How to answer the question, do you take my insurance? From a person on the phone, right? So I, as you know, am the founder and CEO of Equa Marketing, in addition to being this co-host. And one of the challenges I have is we are able to get the phone to ring, but this question comes up when the person who is the potential new patient who's on the phone. And very few people without proper training from someone like Gary know how to handle it. So let's say you're getting 100 new patient calls and you're only booking 33 of them into appointments. That's a lot of $100 bills being burnt, literally, right, on a campfire. Because if you don't book that new patient, you can't keep that patient for life. You really can't do any dental work for them. So it's a loss for your practice. So Gary's going to really talk about this one question that seems to trip up every practice. Gary, take it away.
Yeah. And we know this because part of what we do in Thriving Dentist Coaching is I do call training with your team members, and we do call review where we actually I have the recorded calls. The calls are recorded legally and ethically. I want to make that point. They're recorded legally and ethically. And I will go through many calls to see what's happening on the phone. And then I will pick 6 calls. I'll pick 4 good ones And a simple definition of a good call is it resulted in a new patient appointment. And then I'll pick two that need work. Now, a simple definition of a call that needs work, Naren, if the definition of a good call is they made an appointment, what do you think the definition of a call that needs work is?
Uh, they did not make an
Did
appointment.
not make an appointment. It's that simple. Did
That
not
black and white. Yeah. Yeah.
And notice the relationship between those. I'm complimenting 4 times as much as I'm correcting with the ones that need work. And that helps keep a great spirit in these team trainings that I do. But I want to give an example of what could happen. Because a lot of times dentists on their own will try to solve problems, but they're not always solving the right problem. And an example of that was a new client of ours that had a goal of 35 new patients a month, solo dentist, nice strong practice, wanted to see 35 new patients a month. However, he was only seeing 12 new patients a month. So I asked him, I said, is the problem that you're not getting enough calls? Because if you're not getting enough calls, that's a marketing problem. The marketing company we need to talk to them, so we got to get the phone to ring. Or are you getting the calls, but you're not converting them? Meaning that's an internal problem with training where the team isn't handling those calls as effectively. And he said, I have no idea. Well, they were a mutual client of Equa and Thriving Dentists. So I was able to get that data through HIPAA compliance. I was able to get the data. And this office, Naren, we discovered that they were getting 50 new calls a month, and they were only converting 25% of them. And if you do the math on that, that's his 12 new patients a month. It's 12.5 new patients a month, right? But he's getting 50 calls a month. So I asked him, I said, how much call training have you done with your team members? And he had a great sense of humor. He said, altogether? I said, yeah, just ballpark it, altogether. He said, let me see, carry the one, none. And we laughed. And he said, I got my head down all day taking care of patients. I said, well, then that's where Thriving Dentist Coaching comes. I'll do the call training with him. You're welcome to be part of it if you like. And he said, okay, I'll be at the meetings. And so we did it by Zoom. So in our first round of call training, Naren, these are great team members that just didn't have any training on this. If you don't have any training, when someone asks you a question, do you take my insurance? The question might be no. And then usually what happens to the caller at that point?
Click.
Click. Next. So with some training, we went from 25% to 62%. Now, here's the scorecard. Here's the way to measure success. Here's the indicators. If you're 70% or above, you get an A on the report card. If you're 60 to 70, it's a B. And if you're 50 to 60, it's a C. If you're below 50, it's failing. So where was he at 25% before?
He was 25%. That was you're getting 12 new patients. And now
at what grade would that be?
That would be an F.
An F. So now we get to 62 in one round of training. The team responded extremely well. Mm-hmm. Where is he now? At 62. B. Okay. Right. So let's keep going. We did another round of training. 69%. Now, where are we right there? We're right on the threshold of an A. Technically, it's a B plus. Yes. Right? If you're a tough grader, it's a B plus. Yes. I got stubborn at that point and said, man, I know we can get into the A category. You guys are awesome. Let's do another round. We did another round and they got to 75. What's 75, Naren? A on the report card. Absolutely. Yes. And I might even say an A plus. If 70 is an A, then I could argue that 75 is an A plus. But notice the difference, Naren. Notice the difference. Same 50 callers. 50 callers at 25% resulted in 12 new patients a month. Right. 50 callers at 75% result in 37 new patients a month. What was his goal? His goal was 35. 35, yeah. How much did he have to increase his marketing spend to go from 12 new patients a month to 37 new patients a month? How much? Zero. Yeah. You just had to get more effective at doing that. So I want all of our listeners to get their arms around this. Now, what did they say? What did they say? Let me unpack it for you. Yeah. Naren, I'll role play as if you're the patient and you call, hey, are you accepting new patients? Yes, we love to see new patients. I'm glad you called. You called the right office. And then you say, do you take my insurance? Yes, I have Delta. Do you take my insurance? First thing we have to do in our training is treat that call non-judgmentally. because sometimes there is a subconscious judgment being made by a team member about the caller,
And they
right?
call it unconscious bias.
Unconscious bias. There's an unconscious bias.
Yes.
And you're somehow looking down your nose at the question, and oh, that's not a patient we want.
Right.
Well, if they have a heartbeat, they are a patient you want. It's my opinion. If they are breathing and they have a heartbeat, that is absolutely the potential to be a patient for life in your practice. So we need to flip the switch and recognize that that's a fair question. Now, Naren, do you believe? Do you take my insurance? Is that a fair question?
Absolutely, Gary. I think one of the things that I realized as I grew older is we ask the questions we know to ask. I mean, like you go to a car mechanic, I don't know anything about cars. The only question I know is how much does this cost? So that's the only question you can be guaranteed I
You're
will
the
ask.
perfect Tesla driver. You're the perfect Tesla driver because there is no motor. There
There's
is
nothing. It's just an appliance.
nothing.
It's like a, what do you
It's
call
a
a
toaster.
toaster? Exactly.
It's a toaster
Or like
on.
a golf cart. Golf cart just a little bit faster. That's all.
I dare you next time you take your Tesla in, take your Tesla in and say, I think there's something wrong with my carburetors. Would you do me a favor and see what happens? Okay, I digress. But in all seriousness,
So you can't judge them for that, right? You
don't
can't
judge
judge
them for this.
somebody
Yeah.
for asking something the only thing they know to ask.
So let me pick it up. Do you take my insurance? So now I want to get the patient's name. And so now I'm going to say, because I usually, I would answer the phone. I'll use an example of a team member that, Life Smiles Dental Care. This is Carly. But the patient doesn't automatically give their name. You haven't given your name yet. So now I'm going to say, again, my name is Carly. Who am I speaking with?
Naren?
Naren, it's great to meet you over the phone. I look forward to meeting you face to face. Let me answer your question. Although we are not contracted with, let's say the patient said, do you take my Delta insurance? Although we are not contracted with your Delta Dental Insurance Company, you can absolutely choose our office for your care. You can use those Delta benefits right here in our practice. We will file your claims for you, and we'll be on your side to help you get every dollar of benefit that you have. And if this next statement is true, I'm going to say this. In this case, it certainly would be true. And Naren, just so you know, we have many patients that have the very same Delta insurance that you have. Would you like a morning or afternoon appointment? Now, notice the difference. Notice what I'm doing. I'm telling the patient 4 things. You can choose our office for your care. You can use those Delta benefits right here in our practice. We'll file your claims for you, and we'll be on your side to help you get every dollar of benefit. Now, are those things that resonate with people?
Absolutely.
And if it's true, and by the way, Naren, we have many patients that have the very same Delta Dental insurance that you have. How do you think that lands on a patient? How does that land just in terms of them hearing that?
I think, let's go into the psyche of the patient, right? They didn't pay for deltas. Their employer gave it to them, right? So they have this tool.
Not always true.
Okay.
In many cases, the employer will provide it. The patient pays for themselves in the form of a payroll deduction.
Okay, got it.
But I would say the more common situation is it's what you said. It's provided as a benefit.
Right. And then they're like, I have this card, the insurance card. Can I use it at your office? So as long as you take that insurance benefit or the card and you are helping them get the most out of that insurance benefit they have, they're all in. What happens is just like people have this unconscious bias around, they think they're bad patients because they ask that question. Sometimes they have this bias around, like, oh, they really mean, are you on a PPO
so
plan?
You're overthinking this, Naren. You're overthinking it. Let's say you want to take your Tesla into a garage that serves multiple brands. They take care of BMWs, they take care of Porsches, Jaguars, Hyundais, and they also have a department where they take care of Teslas.
Right.
And that garage says, we have a lot of customers with Teslas. Yeah. How does that land on you? How does that land on you?
I feel confident that I can take my car. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, so when we say we have many patients that have the very same insurance you have, then all of a sudden it feels like, okay, I'm not doing something out of bounds. I'm not doing something different. And you guys know how to handle this. So that type of phrase And it really allows you an opportunity to bring that patient into your practice. See, I believe with our clients, I don't know if this is true of our listeners because I don't know enough about your practice, but among our clients, if we can get the patient in the office, the likelihood that they'll be a lifetime patient is very high.
Right.
Because they're relationship driven, they have a full range of services, they often have advancements in technology, and they're great practices. Who wouldn't want to be a patient there? But you never get a chance if you don't get them through the door, if you don't get them into the practice. And when I gave that example of going from 25% to 75%, it was answering that question, do you take my insurance? Learning how to give a different answer. And that is largely, there were other things we did, but that's largely what changed the results from 25% to 75%. Again, my name is Gary. Who am I speaking with? Naren, it's so great to meet you over the phone. I look forward to meeting you face to face. Notice what I'm saying here. I'm connecting. I'm welcoming you.
Right.
Let me
Building
answer your
rapport.
question. Let me answer your question. Although we are not contracted with your Delta Dental Insurance, you can absolutely choose our office for your care and use those benefits here. We'll file your claims for you. We'll be on your side to help you get the full benefits of your Delta policy. And but we have many patients that have the very same Delta Dental Insurance that you have. Now, if they come up with some rogue insurance that you've never heard of, then don't mislead them. If you've never
Right.
heard of that, then don't say it. But if they're talking about Aetna, Travelers, Blue Cross Blue Shield, all the normal ones, you'll be able to say, we have many patients that have that very same insurance that you have. Do you like a morning or afternoon appointment? So I thought it would be useful to do this for a less insurance dependence episode because it might be a big turnaround for many of our listeners in terms of the results that they're getting on those phone calls. And I will say, some of you, I might have lost you at recording your calls. If you are not recording your phone calls, you have no idea what's being said on the phone. And what did Peter Drucker say about data, about management, Naren?
What is measured improves.
And you can't manage what you don't measure. So the
Yeah.
corollary to that is you cannot manage what you don't measure. Remember that client that was seeing 25%? If he thought it was a marketing problem, and then he tells the marketing, I'm going to spend more money on marketing.
Yeah. He's wasting
then
money.
He's wasted his money.
Yeah.
You can't manage what you don't measure. And you've got to start measuring your phone calls. And of course, it has to be done legally and ethically. There's a message that comes on that to the caller.
This call may be recorded for quality assurance and training purposes.
Yeah, may be recorded for quality training purposes. They know. And that's the ethical side of that. Well, Naren, let's hit pause here, bring it back full circle. Love to meet our listeners at the Thriving Dentist live workshop in Austin, Texas, February 1st, thrivingdentist.com/Austin. Come join us. And thank you for the privilege of your time today. We look forward to connecting with you on the next Less Insurance Dependence podcast.